All right, everybody, welcome back to another market update. Sorry, I'm a little late here to this one. Pretty scrambly here this summer. We've got about 7 weddings to go to, including ours, and a couple bachelor parties. So it's just been a little bit of a whirlwind tour here. Okay, so let's hop into the May market update. Yeah, for those first tuning in, I guess this is, how we generally do this is look along the bottom there to see the area you're looking in, whether it's buying or selling in terms of the stats. Stay here for the first one. It's Bedford. At that way you'll actually be able to see kind of what the data means to everybody and what it means in your neighborhood. But yeah, once again, I'm Tom Moore. I'm a realtor here with RE/MAX in Halifax. If you've got any questions, or if you're looking to make a move to Halifax, maybe sell your home, always looking forward to people reaching out to us. My contact's right there, or you can hit me up in the Zoom meeting below in the comments there. There should be a link. Okay, up first we got Bedford. So this is an area located just outside of Halifax there, nice area. And this is the area in pink there is where we're going to be pulling this data from. So up first, we have total sales and days on market. You'll notice 47 was the month of April, 50 is the month of May. And then days on market, we've got 10 in the month of April, 5 in the month of May. So 5 is really a fast market. It's usually a seller's market. It means that product's really not staying on too long. Generally, they're holding offers, which can drive prices a little higher. What I mean by that is maybe something's listed on Wednesday, offers would be due by Sunday, and that's just to drive a sense of urgency amongst other buyers. Total sales, we've got 50. Obviously, this is probably the peak right here in May, and then a little bit into June as well. Showings per listing, moving on to the next line, we've got 8 in the month of April, 7.5 in the month of May. This can be basically a representation of how many buyers, how many groups have come into that property before it went under offer. New listings, we saw it at 59 in April, 61 in May. Sale price to list price percentage is 99.6%. So we have 50 sales, probably about half of those are going over ask, half of them are going under ask, probably staying right around that 100% mark. And obviously there'd be some outliers there. But what this 99.6% means is that if a house was for sale for $1, on average, it would go for 99.6 cents, $99.06. So that's, when we're kind of below this 97, 96 range, that's when it starts turning into a bit of a buyer's market. But here obviously is not the case. Single family monthly comparison. So this is for the single family homes. In April, average was 705, and then in May we saw it 770. Now this is a generalization of the market in Bedford. Obviously, you're going to find some very expensive homes, like out on Shore Drive there, beautiful ocean front, kind of multi-million-dollar homes, and in other places throughout Bedford. However, generally, this is going to be kind of an average representation of what the data is doing there. Price per square foot, self-explanatory as well. In April, we saw it go from $282 to $291 in May. So relatively consistent. Condo monthly comparison, we saw it stay the same as in April at $405,000. And the price per square foot went from $392 to $375. Okay, Bridgewater. About an hour and 20 minutes, hour 15, down the South Shore, kind of the main city center for areas like Mahone Bay, Lunenburg, some of the cottage country down there. Total sales and days on market, total sales, we saw it go up to 16 from 11. And days on market, we saw it drop significantly from 16 in April to 4. Showings per listing, we saw it go from 5.3 to 5.9 in May. And new listings was at 18. It's now at 20. Sale price to list price percentage, we saw it creep up from 96.5 to 100%. Single family monthly comparison, we saw it go from 377 to 396 in May. Price per square foot was $238. It's now $247. Clayton Park in Rockingham. This is, a nice kind of windy street area. I actually just put a driving tour there. Should have another one coming out soon. have Clayton Park and then Clayton Park West, just kind of two separate neighborhoods. I know a lot of my clients that fly in here really enjoy those driving tours, so I'm going to try to start doing a bit more of those. But yeah, okay, total sales, we saw it go from 27 to 23, a little bit of a dip there. Days on market, 4.4 to 7, so a little bit of a rise actually. Showings per listings, we saw it at 9.4, went down to 9.1. And then the new listings we saw creep up from 31 to 38. Sale price to list price percentage, we saw it go from 99.4, dropped about 1% to 98.5. Single family monthly comparison was at 713. It's now at 666,000. Price per square foot, we saw it go from 303 to 297, staying relatively the same. And the condo monthly comparison went from 420 to 365.5 in May. Price per square foot was at 351. It's now at 400, bit of a climb there. We saw in that month that, you know, a lot of things under 5 are flying off the shelves, especially if it's a house. Also when it's a condo though, there's still just a lot of activity under that 500,000 mark. Cole Harbour, Nova Scotia. Total sales, we saw 28, days on market 5. We had a lot of similar numbers here. I double checked them, but yeah, it is what it is. Showings per listing, we saw 10.3, and new listings was 32. It's now at 40. Sale price to list price percentage, we saw it at 104.5. It's at 104.7. So that's obviously quite a hot market over there. You know, and this obviously next stat here probably has something to do with that. Single family monthly comparison was 515. It's now 483. So relatively lower average home price. And you know, you're really no traffic. You're probably about 15 minutes to downtown, like the waterfront of Halifax. Price per square foot, we saw it go from 267 to 259. Dartmouth is one of our larger areas we're pulling from. Total sales was 62. It's now 50. Days on market 5. Pretty hot there. Showings per listing was at 10.6. It's now at 9.7. New listings was at 77. It's now at 82. Sale price to list price percentage, we saw it go from 101.3 to 101.5. So still strong seller's market there. Single family month comparison was at 530,000. It's now 532. Price per square foot was 292. It's now 287. Condo monthly comparison was 415,000. It's now 408,000. A little bit of a drop there. Price per square foot was 374. It's now 333. Downtown Halifax. All condos were pulling from here. Just not enough houses being sold to warrant a stat on that. Total sales, we saw 7 days on market. 4 in April, 11 in May. So a bit of a steeper rise there. Showings per listing, we saw it go from 4.3 to 4.5 to 3.3 in May. And new listings, we saw it drop 1 from 13 to 12 in May. Sale price to list price percentage, we saw it at 100%, dropping to 99.4%. So still very strong, quite strong seller's market there. Condo monthly comparison, we saw it go from 805,000 to 588,000. Price per square foot was at 571. It's now at 803. That's a steep climb there. Just trying to think of what would have driven that. Maybe in the Roy, there might have been a few that were sold. Or it can be a little bit pricier on the square footage side. Newer building, luxury building. Okay, Eastern Passage, Cow Bay. It's not brand new, but it's a newer luxury building with sometimes a little bit smaller square footage, right, for high price condos. So, but the amenities are pretty phenomenal. Total sales, we saw it at 20 in May. Days on market, 7. So it just went up by 3 days there from 4 to 7. Still pretty fast market there. Showings per listing, we saw it go from 6.5 to 8.4. New listings was at 21. It's now at 25. Sale price to list price percentage was at 100%. It's now at 102.1%. Single family monthly comparison was at 493,000. It's now at 465. And the price per square foot actually went up from 278 to 290. Eastern Shore and Lawrencetown. So kind of the shore north of Halifax towards Cape Breton. You can see Cow Bay and Eastern Passage there in the lower left-hand corner, but pretty rural living out here. You're not super far. Like the head of Chesapeake is probably about, I don't know, 40 minutes maybe to downtown Halifax, 45, maybe 50 actually. It might be a little bit longer. But, you know, once you start getting out into kind of Muscataubet and that, it's right around an hour, I would say. Total sales, we're looking at 8 days on market, went from 48 to 8, dropped significantly. Nicer weather, people might be looking for cottages and whatnot up there. Showings per listing, we saw it go from 3.8 to 4.4 in May, and new listings was at 13. It's now at 25. Sale price to list price percentage, we saw it go from 97.2 to 100.3. So a little bit of multiple offer situation there. Single family monthly comparison was at 504,000. It's now at 647,000. That's pretty high for out there. Price per square foot went from 294 square foot to 282. All right, Enfield. Quite a bit of new building going on out there. Need to do a neighborhood tour over yonder way. Total sales, we saw it go from 27 to 33 in May. Days on market was 15. It's now at 9. Showings per listing was at 6, went to 4.6. Bit of a drop there. New listings was at 45. It's now at 34. They might have reached their peak here for the year. Sale price to list price percentage was at 100%. It's now at 99.8%. Single family monthly comparison was at 510,000. It's now 476. Price per square foot stayed relatively the same, rising about $7 to $255 a square foot in May. Fall River. Total sales, we saw it go from 5 to 12. Days on market was 6. It's now 49. That's a long time there. Showings per listing, 4.1 going up to 4.2 in May. New listings went from 9 to 15. Sale price to list price percentage, we saw it at 98.7, dropped to 97.5. So that's right on the cusp of I would, excuse me, call that a relatively even market. You know, that 97.5, that's pretty much an equal market, if you will. Single family monthly comparison, 733,000 in April, 816,500 in May. Price per square foot was 273. It's now 306. Hammonds, Plains, and Lucasville. Total sales and days on market. Total sales, we saw it drop to 27. Days on market went from 42 to 35. Showings per listing and new listing. We saw showings per listing go up about a point to 5.8. And new listings went from 39 to 29. Bit of a drop there. Sale price to list price percentage went from 100% to 98%. Single family monthly comparison was at 730,000. It's now 752,500. Price per square foot stayed the same at 287. I have a hard time believing when I pull some of this data that the square foot is staying the same, or even like any of these numbers stay the same. So I don't know if that's a glitch in the system, but it is what it is. North End Halifax. Prices here have been going up a little bit in the last little while. Over the last 6 months, I'd say maybe a year. Total sales, and it's just as more and more people kind of move to the peninsula or move outside of the peninsula, the commuting becomes much more important. And if you can be in an area where you don't have to exit the peninsula, it can really obviously help with that commuting if you're doing it 5 days a week. Total sales, we saw it go from 25 to 19. Days on market was at 6. It's now at 5. Hot market there. Showings per listing went from 5.7 to 5.5. Geez, that's pretty low. New listings was at 21. It's now at 26. Sale price to list price percentage, we saw it go from 102.1 to 100. Single family monthly comparison was at 657. It's now at 616. A little bit of a drop there. Price per square foot also took a pretty significant drop here from 543 to 372 in May. Condo monthly comparison was at 582 and it's now at 470, we'll call it. Price per square foot was at 571. It's now 516. Sackville and Beaverbank, large area here. 2 completely different living styles, I would say. Well, 3. You've got the Indigo Shores right below that middle Sackville sign, which is primarily homes that are either new or under 3 years old, I'd say. You've got Beaverbank area, a lot of lakes, almost rural, not rural living, but bigger lots. There's a few neighborhoods sprinkled in there. Golf course up there as well. Windsor Junction, similar. And then you got Lower Sackville, and actually kind of the area in between Lower and Middle Sackville, which tends to be a bit more neighborhoody, if you know what I mean. Total sales, 67 days on market, 7 showings per listing and new listings. Showings per listing, we saw a drop about 1 to 9.2, and new listings went from 84 to 74. Sale price to list price percentage, we saw it go from 103.7 to 100%. Single family monthly comparison was at 510,000. It's now 524. Price per square foot was 271. It's now 278. Very similar. Spryfield and Armdale here, two separate areas. Spryfield's Armdale is right along the ocean, can be very, very beautiful, expensive homes. Spryfield, although quite frankly, everything's changing in Spryfield, it was a rougher area about 10, 15 years ago, I'd say. It's now really, as you can see by the single family home prices, has become quite gentrified, and people seem to really like living there. Total sales, we saw it go from 38 to 43 in May. Days on market was at 7. It's now at 5, a little hotter there. Showings per listing, we saw it go from 7.8 to 8.2, and new listings was 43. It's now 47. Sale price to list price percentage, we saw it go from 100% to 101.5%. Single family monthly comparison was at 580,000. It's now at 615,000. Price per square foot was 286. It's now 303. And the condo monthly comparison was 430,000. It's now 445,000. Price per square foot, on the other hand, went from 360 to 367. South End Halifax, or wealthier tax bracket. Total sales, we saw 16 and 18. Days on market, we saw it go from 10 to 5. So that's very fast for the South End. I don't know when the last time we saw something like that, where average days on market was 5 in the South End. Showings per listing, we saw it go from 5.6 to 4.8. New listings was 16. It's now 25. That's significant. Sale price to list price percentage was 98.6. It's now 97.9. Single family monthly comparison was 1.15 million. It's now 1.2 million. Price per square foot dropped about $15 from 405 to 391. And the condo monthly comparison went from 420,000 to 460,000, we'll call it. Price per square foot went from 555 to 533. So, a lot of Goresbrook condos moving. That's kind of a newer build condo. I think it's 4 years old. Might be 8. I get some of the new builds confused. No, it would be, closer to 4 or 5. But that's a building that would have a significant effect on the condo monthly comparison, because there's usually 1 or 2 that sell there every month. Okay, South Shore, Cottage Country. Beautiful time of the year to be heading down to Mahone Bay, Chester, Lunenburg, all encompassed in this stat sheet. Total sales, we saw it go from 12 to 20. Days on market was 11. It's now 16. Showings per listing, quite low still, hovering right at 2.8. And then new listings, we saw it go from 26 to 34, which is a lot. Well, in the winter really dies off there, the market. Sale price, we saw it go, sale price to list price percentage, we saw it go from 97.5 to 95.8. Single family monthly comparison, we saw it go from 377 to 547,000. And the price per square foot, we saw it go from 287 to 325. So we've got some nice cottages being purchased down there. Not nice, I wouldn't say. You get some $1 million cottages down there to be purchased, but 95.8% is an indicator that it's a bit of a buyer's market down there. Depending on the house, obviously. Sydney, Nova Scotia, capital of Cape Breton Island. Total sales, we got 23. Days on market was 5. Showings per list stayed the same there. So hot market in Sydney. Showings per listing, we saw it go from 5.5 to 6, and new listings, we saw it go from 23 to 35. Sale price to list price percentage, 100% in April, 101.4% in May. Single family monthly comparison went from 270,000 to 263,000. Price per square foot went from 192 to 173. Tantallon and Hubley. Kind of a nice area, quite frankly. A lot of shops and stuff around there. Total sales, we saw it go from 15 to 12. Days on market went from 13 to 19, a little bit higher there. Showings per listing and new listings. Showing per listing went from 4.8 to 5.6. New listings went from 27 to 20. Sale price to list price percentage stayed the same at 99%. Single family monthly comparison crept up quite significantly here from 650K to 734K. And the price per square foot went up about $23 from 277 to 301. So, you know, Tantallon, Hubley, those are some expensive prices for out there, which is probably driving up the days on market, which probably means that a few of those homes have oceanfront views, which causes them to sit a little bit longer because they're priced a little higher. Timberlea and Beechville, home to Brunello Estates, the golf kind of course area, or one of the more popular ones close to the city. Total sales, we saw it go from 26 to 22. Days on market was at 5. It's now 15. Pretty steep climb there. Showings per listing, we saw it go from 6.6 to 9.2, and new listings went from 34 to 23. Sale price to list price percentage stayed the same at 100%, and the single family monthly comparison went from 625 to 675, up 50K, while the price per square foot went from 296 to 307. Truro, Nova Scotia, another good little commuter town, quite frankly. Divided highway, 1 hour to downtown. Total sales, we saw it go from 10 to 13. Days on market was 6, it's now 14. Showings per listing and new listings. Showings per listing, we saw it go from 8.5 to 4.7. That's a steep drop there. New listings went from 25 to 22. Sale price to list price percentage, we saw it go from 101.3 to 96.3. Single family monthly comparison went from 320,000 to 285K. And the price per square foot went from 209 to 227. West End Halifax. Ready, so that we're getting to the end here. Total sales went from 10 to 20 in May. Days on market was at 5. It's now at 7. Showings per listing was at 10. It's now at 9. New listings went from 19 to 30 in May. Sale price to list price percentage saw a drop from 103.5 to 99.8%. And the single family monthly comparison went from 745 to 698. It's funny how the North End and the West End now are almost, I don't want to say competing in terms of price points, but I mean, the last couple months here, we've seen not that different in terms of single family monthly comparison price points, which is interesting to me, to say the least. Price per square foot was 473. It's now 477. I think a lot of people just really value that walkability, and the West End and North End have decent walkability in terms of being able to walk to coffee shops. I mean, it depends on where you are in the neighborhood, obviously. Whereas I think a lot of the people that find themselves living in the South End find that walkability in a lot of the areas is almost impossible to get to a store, just because you're so deep, but you sacrifice the walkability for kind of tranquility, usually bigger property values or property square footage. And you really don't have to deal with traffic down there, because the only people going downtown from the South End are the people from the South End, because there's nothing further than that. Okay, Windsor. Let's finish this off here. Windsor had a strong showing here. Total sales, we saw it go from 14 to 18. Days on market went from 42 to 9. Showings per listing was at 3.5. It's now 5.3. And the new listings went from 33 to 41. Now, sale price to list price percentage was at 95.1. It's now at 97.3%. And the single family monthly comparison went from 420,000 to 377,000. A little bit of a drop there. Price per square foot went from 220 to 289. A little bit of a tick up. Okay, folks. Well, that's all she wrote, as they say. Thanks again for tuning in, as always. And yeah, we'll be coming out with lots more videos this month. Again, for those people who have reached out to me over the last couple months and haven't gotten a response through my email, I would ask you to resend it. I think there was some stuff getting trapped in my junk mail, and Google only holds your junk mail for a month. So I opened that up a couple weeks ago, realized that people had been messaging me. And anyway, so if I didn't get back to you, that might be the reason why. Other than that, we'll see you in the next video. Have a great day.